Powered by mysuncoast.com. ABC 7 News at 11 starts now.
FEMA is on site to help Hurricane Helene victims on Anna Maria Island. What homeowners' next steps are. Plus, the Sarasota County WWSB holding their 39th annual Freedom Awards banquet earlier tonight. Who was honored? But first, breaking news tonight, the union representing 45,000 striking U.S. dock workers at East and Gulf Coast ports reaching a deal Thursday to suspend a 3-day strike until January 15th to provide time to negotiate a new contract. Welcome to ABC 7 News at 11 o'clock. I'm Rick Adams. The union, the International Longshoremen's Association, is to resume working immediately. ABC's Irene Shaw has the latest.
Tonight, the dock workers strike now off. The union suspending its walkout until mid-January. President Biden tonight.
The dock workers are going back to work, and the next 90 days we're going to settle everything.
The International Longshoremen's Association saying, we have come to a tentative agreement on wages. We are on a 3-month extension. The picket is over and back to normal operations as of 8 a.m. tomorrow. The union looking for a 77% wage increase and a limit on some automated equipment. The U.S. Maritime Alliance sweetening its offer from a 50% pay hike to a 62% boost. The strike stopping shipping at more than a dozen ports along the East and Gulf coasts after 47,000 dock workers left their jobs 3 days ago. The impact immediate.
I have a customer that has Halloween stuff that was supposed to be here the other day, and it's sitting on the water right now.
Retailers were nervous about the holiday season. Consumers were fearing price hikes and shortages.
I came in at 9:30. I was waiting online because I know people panic every time they hear something.
The trade group for retailers applauded the tentative agreement, but urged both sides to reach a permanent agreement before the extended expiration date for the current contract. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
All right, let's bring in First Alert meteorologist Leslie Lacey. There you see her. And Leslie, we have been tracking storms up and down the Sun Coast tonight. Yeah, I was out there earlier. It's been a wet Thursday night.
And they stuck around. Some of them went in. We had some more build behind it. You know, we have these easterly winds, and that pushes these storms towards the coast. Earlier, of course, we had that sea breeze and that convergence, and just pow, we had some really intense thunder, and we still had sort of a light drizzle here and there that has been lingering. Now, this is over the last 6 hours. It was really intense as it came through just the whole coast. At one point, there was actually a marine statement from the top of Pinellas County all the way down towards Fort Myers. So here's what we've got right now. A little bit of flooding now as well in the Manatee River, Myakka Head area, and Little Manatee River, minor, okay? And so this is where we're at. So we're finally starting to dissipate. Very, very light rain. That's what it's been over the last couple hours there, but nonetheless still out there. Sun Coast temperatures were in the 70s. It's really cooled down. It started cooling down as soon as those storms came in, because what happened was it just cooled the air temperature. So as we push through the rest of the evening, it is going to be mostly cloudy. Can't rule out another little pop-up shower that comes through. Our overnight low is going to get to about 75 degrees. Forecasted winds, more of that easterly flow. You can see it moving in right there as we look towards tomorrow. And as that moves in, it pushes those storms in and also collides with that sea breeze. And that's what creates those really intense coastal storms. So we start out tomorrow morning for your commute, probably around 78. We are going to have a calm start and then some afternoon scattered storms. So you get 3 green lights to kick things off for your drive. And then when you're coming home, they will be scattered showers. It means that not everybody's going to get them. So you've got some orange caution lights there for your drive home. Meanwhile, your day timer tomorrow to plan your day, we are going to get back up to the 90s, and those scattered showers are going to start here and there after 2, and they'll be in the afternoon and late afternoon, okay? Heat index, so let's talk about this. How hot's it going to get? Oh, it's going to feel like about 105 with that humidity. Rick?
Yeah, still really hot out there. Thank you, Leslie. Do appreciate it. FEMA representatives going door to door with homeowners, learning about the recovery process and offering support. ABC 7's Brigham Harris is reporting from Anna Maria Island, where he has learned there is still a lot of damage to get through.
Well, recovery efforts continue here on Anna Maria Island. Millions of dollars worth of damage and loss. Families and business owners reeling in, trying to realize what exactly the next step is. Louis Najmi owns a business on Anna Maria Island. He says although the devastation is widespread on the island, he says with peak season approaching, it's time to hurry and try to get back on their feet.
We need to think optimistically and positively because that's how it is. We have a bright sun, we've got a beautiful beach, we've got some blue pools here. We don't have total destruction. That's the main thing. It's all about just cleanup.
The Vanderwill family has lived part-time on the island for nearly a decade. Their entire bottom floor, they say, destroyed by the surge.
You know, when you're 2 feet over sea level, the expectation can at times be this might happen. But every one of the previous storms, Irma, Idalia, Ian, they all hit us, but we never got any water in our house. This one here, 4 feet of water.
Well, as hurricane season winds down, peak season begins to ramp up. Business owners hopeful that they can open up their doors in a short amount of time, that before the peak amount of visitors coming to the Sun Coast hits Anna Maria Island. For now, reporting in Holmes Beach, Brigham Harris, ABC 7, your local station.
Okay, Brigham, thank you. Bradenton Beach finally opened for residents and business owners, giving many neighbors a first-time look at their homes since Hurricane Helene hit a week ago. Law enforcement is maintaining a checkpoint on Cortez Road West. The city also putting out a message today that no contractors, debris haulers, restoration companies, or anyone similar is allowed on Bradenton Beach. Now to our crew surveying the damage in South Carolina, where communities were hit very hard by Hurricane Helene. ABC 7's Michaela Redman is in Aiken, South Carolina. That is just miles away from the state's capital.
Electrical crews taking to the sky outside the Crossland Park neighborhood in Aiken, an area still without power after Hurricane Helene came barreling through. For Charles Green, the powerful storm pushing over a massive tree, hitting the top of his truck and blocking his front door, trapping the family inside.
The EMS and cops were rolling through and we were able to flag them down. They had a mini hatchet. They chopped that up so we could at least get out the door.
But much debris still remains in his front yard after a friend had to help Green chop up the bigger branches laying across the top of his truck. Green telling me his mother had it even worse in Augusta, but hasn't lost all hope.
She took a sheet and she put Still Blessed on it, and the reason she did that is because all of our family and friends, while they might have lost power or their vehicle might not be working, all of them are alive.
I'm now behind some of the homes here in the Crossland Park neighborhood. This is what the reality looks like back here. You have wires that aren't live, but they're entirely down. Patricia Johnson walking me around her mother Dorothy's home, showing the extensive damage. Johnson just arrived from New York after being worried about her mother. Johnson's mother is also a diabetic, concerned about her being able to eat proper meals with the power still out, and one of her fridges ruined.
She only has one eye to see out of, and the other one is, but I'm scared. I can only do but so much because I live in New York, and so we came out here to help her.
And everyone is just praying to get back to some sort of normal. Reporting in Aiken, Michaela Redman.
And ABC 7's Jordan Litwiller also in Aiken, South Carolina, showing us power line technicians working around the clock to get those lights back on there.
As power lines remain tangled at the bottom of utility poles, up above, crews continue working around the clock to restore power as quickly as possible. As of late Thursday afternoon, Dominion Energy saying they have restored power for 393,000 customers, but approximately 45,000 remain in the dark. Dominion spokesperson Paul Fisher saying 90% of those still without power live in the western portion of the state, specifically mentioning Abbeville, Aiken, Edgefield, Saluda, McCormick, and Greenwood counties.
In those more rural and heavily wooded areas, we have seen severe significant impacts, tree damage, thousands of trees down, thousands of poles down, countless spans of wire. And the work to repair this in these areas that are so significantly impacted by this storm, we are rebuilding our grid from the ground up.
something our crew saw firsthand while surveying the damage in Aiken County. Right behind me here, you can see what looks to be more of a rebuilding situation instead of a restoration. We just saw as this Dominion Energy crew pulled out one of those snap utility poles from this debris and from all of those plants in this area. They had a chainsaw out and were just trying to get access to that utility pole. And while there are some easier fixes happening nearby, you can see a Dominion Energy crew working on what this appears to be more of a restoration as opposed to a full rebuilding. You can see them at the top of that utility pole rewiring some things. With lots of the infrastructure having to be completely rebuilt, Dominion not able to give a specific date for when power will be fully restored.
We're taking this work hour by hour and day by day. And while we know some customers' lights will come on sooner, others may take longer depending upon the severity of the damage. So we appreciate our customers' patience and understanding as we work through this.
In Aiken County, I'm Jordan Litwiller.
Back here on the Suncoast now, the Sarasota County branch of the NAACP hosting a huge event earlier tonight, the annual Freedom Awards banquet taking place over at the Hyatt Regency in Sarasota. Here's more on that event. It was a very special night on Thursday. For the 39th year, the Sarasota County NAACP holding their Freedom Awards banquet, recognizing advocates for equality. The theme of this year's event is the power of the dream, justice for all.
It's always important, especially in the current climate that we are in politically, across this country, to be able to see everybody coming together under one roof, all different colors, all different shapes, all different sizes, to be able to come and fellowship and have a good time.
There were several different Freedom Award honorees. Some of the categories include the President's Award, the Public Service Award, and the Lifetime Achievement Award. Attorney Jada Bennett receiving the Award of Excellence.
It is very special because I'm born and raised in Sarasota. These individuals on the adult council of the NAACP, they have watched me grow up playing basketball to going to undergrad and then going to law school. So they have seen all my accomplishments, and I'm very grateful that they acknowledge them.
This event also serves as the only fundraiser for the Sarasota County NAACP.
It gets us through our budget so we can be able to do the election stuff that we do, be able to help fight some of those discrimination cases that we often have to deal with, but it gets us by.
Members of the ABC7 team also on hand, including Renee Gilmore, Xavier McKnight, and James Hill. A complete list of the Freedom Award winners for the Sarasota County NAACP can be found on our website at mysuncoast.com. And the Sarasota Sportsmen Association also holding their 28th banquet dinner tonight over at Robarts Arena to raise money for local outdoor initiatives like hunting, fishing, and environment conservation. Tonight, hosts announcing $85,000 donated by the community used to restore Suncoast habitats and put 24 artificial reefs in Sarasota Bay. The association also donates to federal veteran organizations and donates scholarships as well. We did speak to one of the board members about why they do this.
Is to not only educate the next generation, but to involve them in enjoying our natural resources. That's why we're here, is to share our passion.
And our very own Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, there you see him. That's where he was today, participating in this event, acting as the auctioneer. Sarasota County commissioners, the Sheriff's Office, and local nonprofits also at this banquet. Another Suncoast Strong story this evening. The Greater Sarasota County Chamber of Commerce is named the 2024 Florida Chamber of the Year by the Florida Association of Chamber Professionals. A big, huge congratulations to them on a job well done. Coming up on ABC 7 News at 11 o'clock for this Thursday night, Ashley Benefield, convicted in the shooting death of her estranged husband, is back in court tomorrow. We'll tell you why. Plus, high school football back on the Suncoast after Helene. ABC 7 sports anchor James Hill telling us how one local team is using the storm as motivation.
Here's the top stories you're clicking on today. First, watch this incredible video of a building caught in floodwaters getting ripped in half by a telephone pole. Plus, find out why a court is blocking a New Jersey couple from suing Uber after a severe car accident. And photos of empty shelves in the toilet paper aisle going viral once again, bringing back memories of 2020. These stories and more all on our website at mysuncoast.com. We'll be right back.
In the Hurricane Helene, countless families are facing.
Welcome back. Ashley Benefield will be back in court tomorrow after being convicted in the death of her estranged husband. Benefield's trial back in July attracted national attention as the former ballerina was found guilty of the lesser charge of manslaughter in the shooting death of her husband, Doug. Now the judge in this case interviewing the jury for possible misconduct. Benefield's lawyers believe someone on the jury leaked information to social media before the final verdict was announced. Benefield's hearing is scheduled for 9 o'clock tomorrow morning in the Manatee County courtroom. Today, President Joe Biden traveling to Florida and Georgia to survey storm damage caused by Hurricane Helene. Biden making stops in Tallahassee and Perry, where he toured all the devastation, and he toured that from his helicopter. The president in Georgia, too, to meet with officials and discuss recovery efforts. This does come after he approved additional federal funding for Florida. At least 200 people have died because of Hurricane Helene. Governor Ron DeSantis also speaking today. He was on Anna Maria Island as part of his recovery update. He did talk all about an executive order to help keep elections smooth this year in impacted areas, ensuring every vote will be counted.
So I'm announcing actions to ensure that people are going to be able to vote regardless of this storm. So in the areas that were most affected, Charlotte, Dixie, Hernando, Hillsborough, Lee, Levy, Madison, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, Sarasota, and Taylor, we are authorizing the supervisor of elections to make appropriate accommodations, just like was done after Hurricane Ian.
And the governor went on to say if a poll station is damaged, the supervisor of elections can designate another station for those voters. All right, still ahead on ABC 7 News at 11 o'clock. Following the hurricane, the Booker High tornadoes are back in action this week. That's good to see. Our James Hill does have an early look at their Friday night matchup that's coming up after these words.
ABC 7, your
This is Booker High School. It's known as Tornado Alley here at the football field. Now, the head varsity football coach and athletic director, Mr. Scotty Littles, tells me his team is very motivated this week and looking forward to returning to action after a bye and obviously a hurricane and, of course, their loss over at Riverview, 41-30. Here's what Coach Littles tells me. Take a listen.
Sebring's a good team. Their coach does a great job. They've been in and out of the regional finals and tournaments year in and year out. They play a physical brand of football. They just do what they do really well.
Booker players tell me they look forward to playing at home against Sebring. They want to win a game for those who suffered during Hurricane Helene and, of course, their friends and family and Booker Nation.
This game coming up is a big game because it's the next game. And we're going to come through strong, play hard with the team.
It's important for us to stay locked down because we all have one goal at the end, and that's stakes, and we all want to win stakes.
The Booker Tornadoes return to action right here at Tornado Alley on Friday night as they host Sebring. Kickoff is set for 7:30. We will have the highlights for you on our Friday night game night. Reporting from Booker High School, I'm James Hill with ABC 7, your local station.
All right, we've got an update in the tropics. We're going to find out what the weather is looking at. And you know what? We got a couple first alert weather days coming up. I'll tell you all about it. We'll come back with more news and weather right after this.
Time and temp brought.
All right, latest update from the National Hurricane Center. Got one disturbance we're watching. It is in the Gulf. Earlier today, it was at 30% for a chance of development in 7 days. Now it is at 40%, but still no chance over the next 2 days. Nonetheless, there's a broad low pressure system trying to organize in this area. Of course, the water is very warm. It's not in the upper 80s, but it's still in the 80s. Now let's go ahead and move out to the Atlantic. Here's what's going on out here. We got a couple issues. First of all, let's start with Tropical Storm Leslie out here. Leslie will soon become a hurricane, and it will become a major hurricane. Now you see all these dots here. This is the path of Hurricane Kirk. Okay, Kirk is a major hurricane, Category 4 hurricane. I believe it was 145 miles per hour at last check. Pretty intense, as you can see here. So it's going to continue to move up. Thank goodness this is not in our area, and then move out to the northeast, up towards Europe, probably eventually back to a low pressure system or depression. So then right behind it on the heels, almost exactly on the same path here for the most part, is where Leslie will start to follow Kirk. Okay, and so they kind of merge there, and you know, Kirk will be up towards the northeast when Leslie starts taking that trail. So this is the area that we're looking at in the Gulf, the broad area of low pressure that I mentioned. Again, 40% chance that this could develop into at least a tropical depression in 7 days, no chance in 2 days. This is Leslie, still a tropical storm, but soon to be a hurricane. But look at this. Look how far away you could still see that eye. What a massive, massive storm. Thank goodness this is a fish storm, okay? It's just going to affect the ocean out there. It's not going to affect the United States, and it's going to stay away from Bermuda, which is very good news, but nonetheless very powerful. I wanted to show you that well-formed eye that it had. Now let's look at the GFS forecast. So last couple models, these have been all over the place the last couple of days, but now both of them are saying they're expecting possible development into the coast, possibly. But this, look at the time, you know, this is like 8 days from now. So can't really rely on this, but I just want to show it to you. But again, yeah, I don't want you to look at this and think, oh, we have this tropical system for sure coming, you know, into, you know, the Suncoast area or the Tampa Bay area. That's not the case. We just have to keep watching it. But the models have been all over the place, but now they are at least both showing some kind of development in this area. I'll move it over again. And so this would be the European model. What I just showed you was the American model, okay? And this is the Suncoast area. Not as much development, and then it kind of it gets wonky and moves out. So still a lot of time, you know, and these are going to change again. They've showed no development, then started to develop, and then looks completely different. But they're kind of all over the place. But at this point, those last two, the next 7 days show at least that we'll be getting in a lot of moisture. Okay, so from Monday and Tuesday are actually first alert weather days. We're really kicking up those rain chances because nonetheless we're going to get moisture. I just want you to see we are in the 80s here for the Gulf water temperatures. If we have a next named storm, and I believe that we will before hurricane season is over, it will be called Milton. We've got an easterly flow, and that's pushing over those storms. That's why we had so many storms come in pretty much along I-75 and a bit west of it, and we'll continue to have that as we move into tomorrow. And then when that sea breeze kicks up in the afternoon and hits it, that's when we're going to have some of those storms. So we're going to have some scattered storms tomorrow afternoon, and as you can see, you'll see these kind of push over here and then along the coast later in the afternoon when it starts getting really hot. Okay, as we move to the beach forecast, we're going to get about a 90. We're going to have a UV index very high. It's actually going to be a pretty decent boating day. You just got to watch for afternoon storms, but a moderate chop. Winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, but you don't want to go to the beaches yet. They're still doing a lot of cleanup out there. You know, the water is pretty sketchy as far as bacteria and so forth. So you want to try to avoid them if you can, okay? So let's take a look at the moisture. This is the moisture that I'm talking about coming in, and you can see for Monday and Tuesday, all right? And then possibly a system, a low pressure system moving in as you saw with those models. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for you. 40% chance of rain tomorrow, mostly in the afternoon. Same with Saturday, Sunday. Things kick up, more moisture comes in Monday and Tuesday. First alert weather days. It's going to be much rainier those days, and we got a high of about 90, but then we start to cool down. Cool down will still be in the 80s, but hot and humid. Rick.
We are out of time. Jimmy Kimmel Live is next. Have a great night.